Well, he is talking to the voters of New Hampshire. He's meeting with some people now, even as we speak.
Is he coming to the spin room later on?
Not that I'm aware of, no. He ought to, though. He had a great day today with his resolution being passed in the U.S. Senate. I think that was a real breakthrough for
Yeah.
this country.
Can you tell me more about that? Was that what he said? It wasn't really a partition, but in the past he has talked about splitting the parties.
Well, he's talked about there being three separate parts of Iraq under a federal government, and today it was endorsed by the Senate. I think it's kind of a change of direction for this country, that we're kind of breaking away from the administration's plan, which really hasn't worked.
But how is that very much different? I mean, he talks about a loose federation of the states under somewhat of a unified government. I mean, the government of Iraq is not unified. They're not meeting the benchmarks, and they are still one country.
If I may, Steve, excuse me, think of it in this sense. 1776, you had Georgia down here. You had Massachusetts up here. And it took many years to bring them together to work as a unit. It doesn't happen overnight. In Iraq, you have three separate factions. And to have them in any sort of semblance of a peaceful existence together, you would need a very strong centralized government to accomplish that. The reality is, Iraq is not going to have a strong centralized government right away. So
Right.
he recognizes that, he understands that, so why not have something like a confederacy, your three factions coexist, but have a great degree of autonomy, which is necessary, and move forward from that. Not very different than what our country did
Right.
200 years ago.
What could you elaborate on what that autonomy would entail? I mean, what is that? Would that undermine the powers that the Maliki government has now, or what?
As far as precise and exact details of that, I could provide that. I mean, it would take, it's a very entailed, thick document, and the precise details I can't share with you at this moment, but we can certainly provide that. But it's a very sound plan, and let's not lose sight. 75% of the Senate voted in favor of that. They looked at it very closely.
How many Republicans did you got? A lot of
I believe it was
Republican
26
support,
26,
right?
26 Republicans voted in favor of that.
Yeah.
And let's not lose sight that that's the first time. It's the first time there's been a bipartisan effort to really address what certainly needs to be done in Iraq.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think that speaks volumes to the validity, the viability of this plan. I mean, it's there.
Right. What's Biden's plan on health care, per se? I know he mentioned raising the cap on the taxable income and a few other things.
Well, it's quite entailed. It's the policy sheet on that, again, is about 4 or 5 pages. But just a brief overview. In fact, in those terms, it was kind of interesting to me that a few days ago at the State House, we had the former Surgeon General. Do you know? I can't think of his name, but anyways, he was speaking to what really needs to be done to address the healthcare concerns in this country, and what he did in a lot of the areas is he echoed what Senator Biden's been saying for a long time. We need to have preventative measures, substantive preventative measures in place, and we need to help states do that. And he's the only candidate that talked about providing what the necessary items to do that. He understands that the attempts in the past to limit how much a practitioner or a provider can charge for certain procedures has been sorely unsuccessful, and all it does is it limits access to health care by many of the citizens. He recognizes and understands that, and so it's in those terms, and it's very, very in-depth and very workable.
One other thing, or another thing, something that made me very upset with Biden a few years ago. Wasn't he one of the sponsors of the Patriot Act? Or am I wrong about that?
I'm not sure. I'm being asked if he was a sponsor of the Patriot Act, and I don't know that.
No, he wasn't a sponsor.
I don't believe he was. No.
Did he
I
vote
don't.
for it, though, to your knowledge?
I believe he did.
Yes, he did. And now again, in fairness to all the senators, whether they're Republican or Democrats, they were given a great deal of misinformation by this administration to get them to do exactly that, vote
Right.
for the Patriot Act. And I think, in fairness to him, anybody that was sitting there that had the information that was in front of them wouldn't do much differently. A majority of them did. But let's look at what happened yesterday, when the administration was having the same ploy, talking about Iran. He voted against it. They've lost his trust. Fool me once, it's your fault. Fool me twice, it's my fault. And he hasn't been fooled twice, so to speak, in this area. So, I'm looking at those things, and that's what caused me to really support Senator Biden.
Yeah, great. Biden probably is the most qualified candidate in the field by far when it comes to foreign policy. His actions in Bosnia and even Darfur. I guess what I'm asking is why don't the American people really know about that? And is that a central tenet of his campaign to really
That's a very good
get
question.
that out there? I mean,
Yes.
he's having trouble in the polls, I know.
Well, polls don't elect people, number one, and what has happened is in New Hampshire, to affect the polls, is we want retail politics here. And like you said earlier, we want the candidate here face to face. We don't want anybody else doing that. Good news, bad news. Good news is he's very committed to what he was elected to do. He's in the Senate. He's, as you said, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Takes a lot of work. He has to be there a lot. He's been in Iraq numerous times, and also all that's come here to date, except for a few exceptions, is service. We don't like that. So I think you'll find moving forward, he's going to be here a lot more often. You might want to put this in your calendar. He's going to be here October 6th.
At Dartmouth?
No, he's going to be at the Harry Truman Dinner up in Shelburne, New Hampshire at the TNC. And it is a major event. There's quite a few people that attend that. He's a keynote speaker there. He's doing another event in Salem, and he's going to be here a few more times moving forward.
Do you happen to know offhand if he's going to be, they're having a big panel on global climate change.
Okay.
I think it's on October 12th. Do you know if he's going to be?
That's the one in Whitefield that you're alluding to?
I think so.
Yes. I don't believe he's able to be at that. Again, he has commitments
Right.
within
No,
his
I know.
committee, and that's where
Well,
he's at.
if he try and get him to come to the University of New Hampshire soon.
He may do that, and we'll certainly try that.
Yeah.
And I'll pass. Oh, it's Bill Hatch.
I'm Chris Liquori. Could you say you're watching live with Liquori on Scan TV?
You're watching Live with Liquori on Scan TV.
Thank you very much.